Chapter 001, Let's go. Come on, let's get going already. Sophia, the blonde tiger girl, Maya, the white-haired cat, and Chloe, the pink-haired fox, were all together when Steph, the violet-haired dog, excitedly addressed them in an impatient manner. We wasted enough time already. Calm down a bit. The blonde smiled at her. There's no need to rush like that. We waited long enough already. She had no intention of listening to her. It's been so long since you brought me with you to this world after you accidentally ended up here, sis, and I finally want to go on a real adventure. The winter was long enough. Let's go. Now. Don't worry, we are leaving today, just as I promised, but before that, there's still a lot we have to do. Let's ignore all that and just go. Go, I say. The dog girl didn't like the sound of that. Steph sure has become quite moody. Maya smiled at the whiny girl. That's the privilege of the younger sister. Saying so, Steph hugged one of Sophia's arms and started clinging to her. I'll definitely stop being such a pain once we're on the go, sis. She showed her the biggest smile she could do. You using the magic you had been gifted when coming to this world to turn yourself into a dog hybrid of the beast folk here really was the best decision you ever made. The tiger looked back at her while petting her head. Your puppy eyes are way too powerful. Ehe. She liked her response. It was only the second best decision, though. Steph then faced the pink fox girl. The best one was asking out Chloe. Whiny and smooth. The cat girl sounded slightly impressed. Why yeah. Chloe nodded a few times while a slight blush appeared on her cheeks. Come on already. Steph squeezed the arm of her older sister she was clinging to. If we aren't out of the capital here by the end of the day, I'll show everyone how whiny I can really be. I'm using but a fraction of my power right now. And you called me insufferable when we went swimming in Myra's domain the other day. Sophia let out a small sigh in response. This and that are different. Ah, I see. She didn't feel like arguing. Well, I'm good to go, Sue. Maya, Chloe, what about you two? It wouldn't matter even if we weren't. Their voices overlapped while they glanced at the overly excited and impatient puppy clinging to Sophia's arm. I'm glad you understand. Steph didn't feel bad about it in the slightest. Let's leave this place and go exploring. You do know that we have to head over to the castle first, right? The blonde immediately crushed her dreams again. Why? She apparently didn't know. We're going to collect Anna and Ari. They're coming with us to explore the world, after all. Ah, right. Steph hung her head. You're lucky I like them a lot, because else I would have gotten even noisier now. Chloe, do you have one of those squeaky balls on hand that makes our puppy calm down? Hey. Sorry, she destroyed the last one I had a few days ago. She shook her head. They never last long with her. That's too bad. I hate you all. Slightly embarrassed looking, Steph averted her face. Dating these sisters sure is an experience, huh? Maya smiled at the pink fox after having stolen a glance at Sophia. I would know from my tiger there, after all. Ahaha, Chloe could only react with a chuckle. Let's get going already. As the dog wasn't able to play with her therapeutic ball, she only got more impatient. The four left their home in the capital of the beast folk race and walked over to the castle of the royal family. After all, Anna, a tall, orange-haired tiger girl, one of the girls they wanted to take with them on their journey, was a rather important one. Namely, the first princess of the nation. Ari, the girlfriend of said princess, a black-haired jaguar girl, also lives in the castle, as the two were also childhood friends, on top of Ari's parents being the head maids of the royal family. Ever since Sophia had arrived in this world after having had an accident on Earth and turned herself into a tiger girl without knowing that the tigers are the royals of the beast folk race, she had gotten quite close with the ruling family of the nation. Having befriended the first princess, who was a big fan of exploration and being free in general, it quickly was decided that she and Ari would accompany them whenever the blonde and her friends left the capital again to return to their travel plans. It took a while, but it was finally time for Sophia to fulfill that promise to her as they were about to do just that. You're late. The moment the group entered the entrance hall, they were immediately greeted by a tall, orange-haired, and impatient-looking tiger girl. I know, right? Steph immediately walked over to stand next to Anna so the two could glare at the other girls together. We're finally about to go exploring, and they were just idling around. It took me forever to get them out of the house. Thank you very much for your service. The tall tiger smiled at the dog girl before focusing on Sophia again. I was about to get you, you know? I've been waiting for this day for way too long already. Let's go. She was very excited. You and Ari were huddled up with us in front of the fireplace, not wanting to move a single muscle, just 2 days ago. The blonde had no intention of dealing with this again. Aya. The princess immediately turned silent. I told you to stay calm. Ari, the black-haired jaguar girl, was beside her and lightly rolled her eyes in response. Impossible. She wasn't able to stay silent for long. I've been looking forward to this since forever, after all. It just was too cold before. There was nothing we could have done. You could have simply dealt with it. Steph's union with Anna only held for a short while. Everyone sure is lively, huh? Another tiger joined their conversation. She was a good bit older than the rest of the group, seemingly in her late 40s. Other than that, she was the perfect copy of Anna. Quite tall and well-developed, together with the same orange hair, tiger tail, stripes, and ears. To be more precise, Anna was more of a copy of hers, though. It was Kira, the nation's queen, and mother of the princess in question. Some of us are, at least. Steph was getting slightly pouty again. Wait. She got even louder. Don't tell me we still have to go through half a day of saying goodbye and stuff, because Ari and Anna are leaving the nest. Don't worry, my dear overly excited puppy. Kira smiled at her. Ari's parents, Menzer, and I had already had lots of that the last few days. We're as ready to let them go as we can be. Not at all, I presume? Sophia took a wild guess. Not at all. She nodded. Mom. Anna looked at her mother. Don't worry, we're letting you and Ari go on your trip. Sophia's magic and the ability to use it to return at any time was a great help for the decision. I love you. The princess immediately jumped at the blonde tiger and tightly hugged her. She was really glad to be able to go on this trip. Do you love me or my magic? She raised an eyebrow in response. Yes. I never should have made this reply popular around here. Sophia had some regrets about having used that sort of non-reply so often before. Hee. Giving the shorter tiger another quick squeeze, she let go of her again while showing the blonde a big smile. Well, whatever. It was impossible to be upset at her. Speaking of, though. Kira changed her attention to the blonde. The two are ready to go, but you are not. Eh? The shorter tiger tilted her head in confusion. What did I do? We already decided not to tell Ellie about our plans because we'll be back many times, so not much would change when it comes to seeing her compared to how things are right now. After all, I don't want to make my favorite tiger needlessly sad. She paused for a moment. Sorry about that, Kira and Anna, but the youngest princess wins in my book. Ellie was Anna's 3-year-old sister and the youngest daughter of Kira, who was very loved by Sophia especially, but there was no one who didn't adore her. She's the cutest, after all. No, it's not about that. The queen was okay with the clear preferential treatment. Menzer wants to see you before you leave. He's at the capital's south gate right now. Together with the planning committee that got founded because of your plans. Ahaha, she scratched her cheek. Aren't you glad the royal headaches will become fewer once I'm gone? I seriously doubt there'll be any fewer of them. Kira just stared at her again. Sophia went silent for a moment. Anyway, let's go to the south gate. She decided to ignore her reply. Wasting no time, especially because Steph was quickly becoming even more impatient and Anna wasn't helping with that issue, either, the group made their way toward where the king was currently. Oh, there they are. Everyone had just exited the capital through the south gate when Steph pointed at some familiar faces. Mira, the nine-tailed white and teal-colored hybrid fox. Phaonis, the red and white full fox, and the two wolves, Fan and Aura, were waiting for them already. Finally. You sure took your sweet time. Noticing them, the male wolf immediately sent a complaint to the group. I know, right? The violet dog got loud again. It's great that at least some members of this group understand that we have no time to waste. Of course. Fen gave her a cheeky reply. Fen was still asleep on the sheepskin rug in the living room when we left for the castle, you remember? Sophia still had no intention of dealing with this. He only arrived here a few minutes before us, probably. He went silent. Idiot. Faye slowly shook her head. You should have seen that one coming. Cut him some slack. Aura looked at her. He just woke up, and his brain isn't fully working yet. Ah, I see. Oi. Fen did not like their exchange. Oh, there is the guest of honor. A somewhat dignified but also tired-looking hybrid tiger man in his early 50s with orange-grayish hair walked over to the group and looked at Sophia. What can I do for you, my dear king? She smiled at Menzer. The sass might be one of the things I won't miss when you're traveling. He let out a sigh. That, and the hope that my hair continues to gray with the same speed as it does after meeting you. The blonde tilted her head. I don't know, I kinda like the look. It makes you look tougher. Yes. Some of the other girls joined in. It looks great. He paused for a moment. That does not make me happy. Especially because none of you even like men. That only adds more weight to our opinions. Sophia smiled at him. If we already like it, what do you think how women that like men would think of you? He went silent again. Don't you look happy now? Kira also was still with him and had now proceeded to stare daggers at her husband, the king. Menzer's expression immediately changed. I forgot about the headaches you keep causing me. I do have a talent for that. Her mood was great. So, Kira said you wanted to see me. Do you need help with something before we leave? We need to review your portals a last time before you leave. Seriously? Steph immediately got loud again. That'll take forever. Don't worry, it won't take that long. Menzer briefly glanced at her, before facing Sophia again. It's your last chance to change your mind. The ministers and I planned a lot these past months, and are beyond happy with your absolutely generous offer to use your magic to connect various places of interest throughout our kingdom with the help of the portals you invented. We're about to start the building phase of the place we intend to use as a sort of hub to deal with all the portals and the places they lead to. We need to make sure this is no wasted effort. This again? The blonde let out a short sigh. How often do I have to reassure you about this? It sounds like so much fun. I'm, of course, going to do it. I want to return to the capital every now and then, anyway. Because of that, I might as well use my magic to create a permanent portal that links the places together. Don't worry about it. Thank you very much. He sounded honestly relieved. Once again, on behalf of pretty much everyone, you have no idea how much this will change the kingdom. Also, the payment we agreed on is amazing. The king almost stumbled over his own feet after hearing her real motivation. Anyway, sounding extra smug, Sophia smiled at him. I'm just kidding. Where are you going to build it? It's all just fields around here. On one of them? She started looking around while saying so. No, Menzer shook his head. We are looking to increase our area of arable land around the capital, not decreasing it. Okay? Do you see that farm cottage near that line of trees over there? He pointed to a building a few hundred meters right of them. Yeah. She looked right at it. It's super cute. I love that style. It was a rather big building with grayish-brown brick walls, white window frames, and anthracite shingles for a roof. Well, we're going to tear it down. Eh? The blonde didn't like that. Why? It looks perfectly fine. Well, it's not needed anymore. The king shrugged. The head farmer responsible for these fields around here actually married into the head family next to them, and they decided to combine farms and homes. We decided to buy the cottage and the land around it from them because the location is ideal for the hub. It even has a good road leading directly to the south gate here. Building a new road would have been more expensive than buying and tearing the cottage. It's so cute, though. Do you have any better suggestions? She paused for a moment. Ah. Her eyes suddenly started sparkling. Can I have it instead? Excuse me? Naturally, Menzer was quite confused about her reply. What part about tearing it down because we need the space did not reach you? I understood everything. I don't want to live in it here. I want to take it with us when we're traveling. The farm cottage. Yes. The king's face was going through many emotions while trying to understand her before eventually looking at Maya. Could you explain what she means? How am I supposed to know? The cat girl just shook her head. You're her girlfriend, are you not? How's this and that related? It only means that I get confused by her the most, because I'm together with her all the time. He hung his head. She's pretty easy to understand, actually. Steph came to the rescue. No, she is not. Many voices retorted the same. Everyone knows about her storage magic that's somehow related to the portals, right? The dog girl continued. Indeed. Menzer and the others nodded. I still get surprised every single time she uses it to get something out of seemingly nothing. Well, wouldn't it be something to have a whole house inside that storage? I think that would be amazing. Steph was getting excited. Exactly. Sophia felt the same. It would be a portable home and rest stop. Sometimes, I have trouble believing you two are sisters, because you look so different. The king stared at the duo. Then, the two of you start talking, and all doubts are immediately blown away. Is that even possible, though? Sure it is. Sophia gave him a thumbs up before she started walking along the road toward the cottage, while everyone else followed. And now? Let's see. Arriving at the cottage, she took a better look at it. It really looks cute and cozy. I want it. She liked it. How much of the area needs to be cleared for the planned hub? Well, everything around the cottage. All the way from the edge of the fields to, and including, the range of trees in the back. Oh. That's perfect. Are there plans for something like a basement area, too? I can also remove part of the soil if you want. Well, the king turned around to address some of the other people, some of them being tiger hybrids and his age, as well. Do we? It would certainly be useful for temporary storage and the like. Perfect. Having gotten the permission, or at least not having been denied, Sophia immediately got to work. Soon after, purple sparkles and reflections began to appear in the air around the mentioned area before nothing else was visible there anymore. It was all that could be seen there for a moment, before the purple sparkles started to subside again. Once the magic distortions were gone, everything else had disappeared, too. The cottage, the trees, the lawn, gone. Only a giant crater roughly 150 by 150 meters wide, long, and about 4 meters deep, could be seen. Cottage get. The blonde was happy about the result. Eh? Most people outside of Sophia's core group had the same reaction. Alright, time to go exploring. Let's go. The sisters decided they didn't care about the shocked faces of Menzer and some of the others. Chapter 002, the start is always the hardest part. Spring had finally come around, and so Sophia and her friends were getting ready to finally resume the exploration of the new world she had ended up in. Before that, they met up with King Menzer and a few other people from the castle to review some things again. After all, Sophia had offered to use her portal magic to connect various places of the Beastfolk Kingdom to make traveling much easier. In preparation for that, the king, or his planning committee, had decided to tear down a farm cottage that wasn't needed anymore to build a portal hub there instead. She didn't like that idea because she immediately fell in love with the cute design of the cottage and suggested a better plan. though, the word plan maybe was a bit of a stretch. Sophia simply snatched the building and put it into her storage dimension, together with a big portion of soil around it. Once Menzer and his wife, Queen Kira, got over the fact that the blonde tiger had just made a piece of land disappear, the two moved closer to their daughter. It's time, huh? Her father spoke up. The capital will finally be freed from the Chaos Princess. Hey, said Princess Got Loud in return. It will definitely be much quieter and more peaceful around here. Kira had to do it, too. That's really not Anna could not finish her sentence because the two suddenly hugged her. She simply opted for returning the hug, and the three stayed like that for a little while. Sophia, once they parted again, the king immediately faced the blonde tiger. I don't need to make myself clear that I'm going to send the entire kingdom army after you if anything happens to our daughter, right? More than that, I'll be coming after you, myself. Kira sounded even more serious. Okay, I'm actually scared about the second one. Sophia took a step away from the queen. No, there is no need to worry. With me around, none of my friends will ever get hurt. Good. The royal couple sounded relieved. Well, minor injuries used as a learning exercise excluded. She lightly corrected herself. That much is fine. The queen accepted that exception. She could use 1 or 23 of those learning moments. Oh, and I won't take responsibility for emotional damage from Maya's teasing. That's beyond my capabilities. That's beyond everyone's capabilities. The white cat reacted with an extra smug grin. We know. Many people had the same response. Heh. What a girl. Kira sounded quite impressed by her momentarily, before eventually changing her attention to her daughter's girlfriend. Ari, you do know that you have to act as the royal family's representative, right? I put my trust in you, okay? Why me? She lightly raised her voice. We have 2 actual tigers in our group. You don't want us to be the representative of anything. Anna and Sophia, said tigers of the group, were in complete sync. Why are tigers so self-aware? The jaguar let out a sigh. Don't worry. I'll help you when it becomes too complicated. Maya put a hand on her shoulder while showing the girl a sympathetic expression. I'll make sure those 2 learn how to behave. Faye glanced at the 2 striped girls before facing the queen. Admittedly, after having gotten to know them better over the past couple of months, I realized that this will be a hard task, but I'm quite confident about my expertise in that field. Thank you very much. Kira smiled at the full fox. I'm counting on you. Good luck. The blonde and the tall tiger still were in a good mood while they smiled at Faye. I don't need luck. She stared back at them. I have my skills to back up my claim. The duo quickly stopped looking cheeky. I see that our daughter will be in capable paws. Menza reacted with a slight nod in her direction. Grr. The tall tiger growled at her father. I'll make sure to be even more of a menace than usual whenever we come for a visit. Totally fine by me. Menzer saw no issue with that. Yep. Kira also nodded. As long as you do come and visit us. There's just no winning with you, is there? Anna started pouting. That feeling is the worst, isn't it? Her parents stared right back at her. You know, I absolutely love this kind of family bantering and bonding, but it's getting late. 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 Steph, once again, was getting impatient. I want to go, too. Anna also showed her parents an excited expression. Don't worry, we won't take any more of your time. The king smiled at her. Oh, but before you all leave, he then looked at Sophia and handed her an envelope. I don't expect you to go to these places, but that's a list with cities and areas of most interest to be linked with your portals. There's also a letter with my sigil and sign inside to show the mayors there. If you end up in any of these places, we would be pleased to have them connected with the capital. Sure thing. The blonde took the envelope and immediately handed it over to Maya. Please remind me whenever we're near any of these places. Of course. She knew it was an impossible task for her tiger. All right. Having dealt with that, Sophia faced the others in the group. Let's head out. Finally. Her sister liked the sound of that. By the way, where do you plan to go first? Which direction? The queen got a little curious about their itinerary. South, because it would get warmer faster. North, because it would be colder for longer. This way. That way. Along there. I want to go there first. That direction seems nice. The best route would be over there. This way would be the easiest route. I think this way would be fun. In no particular order, everyone in the group, Sophia, Maya, Steph, Chloe, Ari, Anna, Mira, Faye, Aura, and Fan, were pointing or gesturing in a different direction. Noticing how there was not a single match in their suggestions, the group turned silent. Let's leave, dear. Kira decided that it would be best to vacate the premises. Why yeah. Menzer, too, wanted to avoid getting roped into this. Well, I guess there's only one thing we can do now. Sounding extremely serious, Sophia turned sideways to look at her sister, who was pointing in a direction with a roughly 90-degree angle of hers. Yeah, looking equally serious, Steph looked back at her. It's beyond unfortunate that it had to come to this, but there's just no other way. It's deeply regrettable, yes. The blonde nodded. This will change things forever. Nothing will ever be the same. Ari, Maya, and Chloe started to look concerned about the ominous feeling around the sisters. Let's get over with it. Let's go. The two exchanged another glance before both lifted their arms. Rock. Paper. Scissors. The serious mood was instantly gone. Eh? Everyone around couldn't believe this turn of events and simply watched the sisters throwing symbols at each other in rapid succession. Once everyone had gotten over their goofiness, the other members actually went ahead and joined in, as they all had their own preferred route. Ultimately, it turned into a full-blown rock, paper, scissors tournament that went on for many rounds over the next hour. Even Faye and the wolves took part by placing their paws on symbols drawn on the ground. How did I win this? Once the tournament was over, and Ari emerged victorious, she was the most surprised about it. I was the least passionate about it. I just wanted to play along. Don't be smug about it now. Steph didn't like her victory speech. That's not what I. Well, whatever, the jaguar didn't feel like arguing. Anna, which direction did you want to go? I might as well use it to score some girlfriend points. Which way should we pick? Really? Dot. Boo. Everyone except the princess hated that decision because it made them look bad. Let's see, the tall tiger tilted her head. Alright, I want to go in the direction you chose instead. Are you sure? Yep. Anna smiled at her jaguar. Boo. The rest of the selfish group liked that even less. Does anyone have anything against the decision to finally have a starting point and be ready to go? Ari looked at everyone. Especially you, Steph. No. The dog girl rapidly shook her head. See? She smiled at her. So, who cares that Anna and I are, objectively and factually speaking, the best couple here? Hey. Everyone seemed to care. Let's go. The mood of the princess was excellent. The others needed a moment before they weakly nodded. Fine. After they agreed on a course, in one way or another, the group finally got going and left the beast folk capital to return to and/or start their exploration of the continent and, later, the rest of the world. Chapter 003, Directionally Challenged. After a lot of back and forth, much bickering, and a full-blown rock, paper, scissors tournament, the group finally left the capital and started their grand exploration of the continent and further beyond that. Alright, boss, where are we headed to first? The group had been walking around for an hour when Sophia eventually faced the jaguar. Why am I the boss here? Ari was immediately confused about her new title. You chose the route. You are the boss. She had an easy explanation. Anna chose the route. Yes, your route. The princess sided with her fellow tiger. Also, you won the tournament. Maya joined in on it. You're definitely the boss, boss. I hate all of you, she hung her head in response. I had absolutely no thoughts behind my suggested direction. How irresponsible of you. The blonde was shocked. As if you had any idea where you were pointing at. Ari got loud while she glared at Sophia. Your sense of direction is so bad that you can't even tell up from right. How rude. My suggested direction was very carefully thought of. Is that so? She raised an eyebrow in interest. Yes. Sophia gave her a big nod. I wanted to go perfectly south because that meant it would get warmer faster. You stupid cat. Steph rolled her eyes. Well, I wanted to go north for the exact opposite reason, so. Well, we are sisters. She quickly changed her opinion. Wait a moment. Sophia, your direction was at a roughly 90-degree angle of mine, and I'm fairly confident about having pointed north. You definitely pointed east, my dear directionally challenged friend. Ari stared right at her again. Her face turned red. Also, the jaguar continued. We left the capital through the south gate, you know. Why do you think it's named like that? Surely not because you have to turn left to go south, right? By the way, we're headed south right now. She was slowly shaking her head the entire time. Seriously? Yes. Ari nodded slightly. I had nothing specific in mind to explore in this direction, but I also liked the idea of it getting a little bit warmer just ever so slightly faster. I love you. Overcome with emotion, the blonde jumped at the jaguar and hugged her. It's really not that much of a big deal. Not entirely sure how to react, she simply patted the back of the tiger a couple of times. Hey! The other tiger, the tall one, was not a fan of this exchange. The princess tends to get jealous quite fast, after all. Alright, I'm even more motivated now. Sophia had let go of Ari again and energetically raised her fist high in the air. Let's keep going, boss. Sure, the jaguar gave up and decided to play along for the time being. She knew from experience that letting tigers have their way with those sorts of things was the easiest route for everyone involved. It wasn't worth the effort. So, all that aside, Maya scratched her cheek. Did I understand everything correctly if I say that we have no idea where we're going? Pretty much. Sophia and Steph smiled at her. I can't say I'm surprised. Was there anything interesting in the direction you suggested? Chloe got interested in the catgirl's plan. She averted her face. You also simply pointed in a random direction just for the sake of it, didn't you? The pink fox saw right through her. I don't want to answer this. I guess that's also an answer. It worked for her. Mira, you'd know what's in the direction Ari chose, right? Are we headed somewhere fun? She faced the many-tailed fox. I sure do. She smiled at her. Do you want to know, though? Or would a surprise be more fun? Surprise, please. The sisters immediately replied before anyone else had the chance to. Also, Mira looked at the pink fox again. Every direction and any path will eventually lead to something interesting. Fair enough. Chloe nodded a few times. Also, yes, a surprise sounds like much more fun. By the way, while the group continued to chat and walk, Anna started looking around alongside the cobbled road the group had been following for a while. What are we going to do once it's time to stop for the night? Camping? Looking for a village with an inn? What do you want to do? Sophia faced her. Whatever is fine in my eyes. Though, if we're going to camp outside, I want a few trees around, a massive campfire, and I'm going to raise the temperature around us by a good bit, or else I'm going to freeze. Oh, that sounds great. The princess liked the idea. Chloe, we'll sleep a few meters away from our cats. Steph addressed her pink fox. That temperature thing sounds horrible. A good idea. Both preferred colder temperatures because their animal bits were partly based on a husky and an Arctic fox. Oh. The blonde raised her voice a little. There's also the cottage I stole and put into my extra space earlier. We also could use that, I guess. I like how you can casually admit having stolen a whole building. There was more than a hint of sarcasm in Faye's voice, while the full fox stared at her. Did I, or did I not ask for permission beforehand? She looked right back into her eyes. You are not wrong, but still. Heh. Her expression turned extra smug. Well, if it makes you feel better, just treat it as a birthday gift from the king for me. You sure are greedy. Faye did not approve of her reason. Sophia, my dear. Judging by the tone of her voice, neither did Ari. Do I need to remind you that we are in the middle of April already? Your birthday was over a whole month ago already. Don't care. The blonde did not acknowledge her complaint. What do you think about my reasoning, Chloe? Perfectly valid. The pink fox was on her side. That's just because your birthdays were in the same week. The jaguar stared at her. You two even celebrated them together. This and that are unrelated. The duo smiled at her. Is it now? Yep. Whatever, she gave up on arguing. I call dibs on a room for Anna and me. That's the spirit. Sophia gave her a thumbs up. I want one for Chloe and me, too. Steph immediately jumped in on the topic. Sure thing. Well, it looked like the cottage had a bunch of rooms. Maya tilted her head. As Sophia's the one who stole it, she has the right to claim the biggest and best bedroom, so everyone else comes after. With Sophia, you mean you, right? It wasn't hard for Steph to guess her true objective. Privileges of the official girlfriend. The cat girl smiled at her. What is Sophia's, is also mine. The little sister has the same privileges, though. The violet-haired girl didn't let it count. That is, Maya paused for a moment. Fair enough. She scratched her cheek. Sharing a bed with you and Sophia, though. Not my favorite combination of choice. For reasons of sisterly origin. Good counter. Steph had not much to add there. At least as long as we're talking about that kind of sleeping together, you would have to make sure to stay in the middle between us the entire time. Even so, cuddling is a different matter. Wait, what? Sophia looked quite confused for a moment. Ignore that, we're just messing around. Their voices overlapped perfectly. You two were half-sisters in the old world, right? Mira looked at the two. Yep. They nodded. If you combine that with the changes to your bodies in this world, your different magic, and having become part tiger and dog respectively, I doubt it would even still classify as a problem. Biologically speaking. Also, there are no accidents that could happen, anyway. There are many problems. The sisters disagreed with her. Many. Numerous. Leave them alone, Mira. Faye faced the many-tailed fox while trying to lightly glare at her. Trying, because it was rather hard for someone that looks like a full animal to do. Her voice easily carried her intention, though. Ahaha. She scratched her cheek. Come on, you know that I need to mess with people every now and then. I'll die if I don't do that. I'd love to hear the name of this terrible affliction. Faye's voice turned incredibly sarcastic. We have to raise awareness of it. It's, very technical and impossible to pronounce, so. If that's how it is. Yes. Mira smiled at her. Anyway, yes, I was just playing around a little. She faced the sisters again. It is not exactly wrong, though. Biologically speaking, you are much less related to each other than before. While interesting information, I don't care. It changes nothing. Exactly. Sophia agreed with Steph. We're sisters. Full stop. The violet dog put some extra emphasis on it. Directly after, the conversation was put to an immediate stop, and the group continued to walk for a couple of hours, using the remaining daylight to get a bit further away from their starting point, the capital. Chapter 004, Overseer Peculiarities. The group had been walking for a couple of hours since leaving the capital, but as they were still relatively close to it, they had yet to find anything new and interesting to explore. It started getting dark before long, and because it was still just the middle of April, the temperature dropped quickly once the sun started setting. A fact that upset a big portion of them very much. The feline portion, that is. Alright, let's go and explore the cottage I stole this morning. Sophia looked at the sunset, shuddered briefly, and then faced the rest of the group. Is the cat starting to get cold? Steph rolled her eyes while she looked at her sister. Yep. Are you really okay with the pride of a tiger being ridiculed to this level? The dog girl changed her attention to Anna. You, as the tiger princess of this nation, should do something about this, should you not? When we're cold, we're cold. The tall tiger was not on her side. She hung her head in response. It's really always the same with you all. Just like Chloe, you are not fond of hot temperatures, right? Faye looked at the dog. I hate it. She had a strong opinion on it. You girls also plan to explore places like deserts or volcanic regions, right? Absolutely. Sophia and Anna immediately replied to her. Do you really think complaining about the feline's dislike of the cold is a good course of action, my dear? The voice of the full fox turned sarcastic when she glanced at Steph again. She went silent for a while before eventually scratching her cheek. Sue. About that cottage you stole this morning. I really want to see how it looks inside. Tell me they're sisters, without telling me they're sisters. Aura said out loud what everyone was thinking. I'm not okay with how we ended up on the topic, and I will remember this once we arrive in a desert or similar region, but for now, yeah, let's explore the cottage. Saying so, Sophia raised her hand and used her magic to create a flurry of pink distortions in front of the group. Soon after, these distortions banded together before forming into something loosely resembling a door. A pink and sparkly door. Let's go. She then immediately entered the portal while the others followed after her. This place is as weird as ever. After going through the portal, they found themselves in a seemingly never-ending all-white space, and it fascinated Anna. No, I think the weirdness has improved since the last time we were here. Ari tapped the shoulder of the tall tiger while indicating that she should turn around. There, a new attraction, in stark contrast to the all-white nothingness, could be found. That's so cool. Steph looked at the cottage that was outside the capital just this morning with sparkling eyes. The house wasn't there on its own, though. It was sitting on a few meters tall pile of dirt, covered in grass, and even a small range of trees behind it had been transported over to this place. I'm so envious that you can do this, sis. Hee. The blonde got a little extra smug in response. I can't wait until my overseer powers unlock. The dog girl started pouting. I want to have my own place to play with, too. Eh? Anna and Ari suddenly looked quite confused. Overseer powers? Good job, Sophia rolled her eyes while she glanced at her sister. What is this about? Ari faced the shorter tiger and stared at her with big eyes. It's quite easy to explain. Mira took over and smiled at the blonde before facing the confused-looking royal couple. As you already know, our Sophia has been gifted most of her extensive magic from Kinnear, while I gave a portion of mine to Steph. As he and I are overseers, our magic comes with special privileges. One of them is being able to create your own domain. She tried to explain it to them. You already saw mine when we went to the beach inside it the other day. Steph hasn't unlocked hers, and Sophia's is all this. She gestured around in the white void. She has it already, but it's still barren. Barren? Sophia sounded deeply upset. Look at the cottage I stole. All the land around it, too. Dear, the established part of my domain is about. Actually, I don't even know how big it is right now. Mira tilted her head. It's much bigger than this world, though. Fair. There was nothing the blonde could say. Let's have this conversation in another year again. She had big plans for her domain. I'm looking forward to it. Wait a moment. Ari wasn't done with the previous topic. Does that mean those overpowered sisters are effectively overseers, too? I wish. Steph seemed to like that idea. Do I look like one? Sophia, on the other hand, did not. I don't know, I've only met one so far, but you sure act like a being on a different plane of reasoning a lot of the times. The blonde tiger went silent. Thanks to her having been blessed by the magic of an existing overseer, she's cleared one of the most important prerequisites to become in the future. And no way. The voices of Ari and Anna overlapped while they stared at Sophia with baffled expressions. By the way, the teal fox smiled at the royal couple. Did you know that Sophia used Kinnear's magic when she blessed the two of you with bigger powers? It's a little different for the two of you because his power fused into yours, rather than you having become able to use the same kind as his, but… Eh? Hee hee. Mira liked their shocked reaction. Don't worry, though. There's more to becoming an overseer. Much more. Also, even Sophia needs to have around 1,000 times the magic she currently has at her disposal to be considered an overseer in name. Phew. The jaguar looked visibly relieved. I have no motivation to ever have that much magic. Also, that means Sophia and Steph will never become an overseer either. That's very reassuring. I mean, it will take a lot of time, but it's not impossible. Mira didn't share her opinion. No, that's not what I mean. Ari shook her head. If either of those would get even close to that much power, they would have long destroyed the world. The group looked at the sisters for a little while. Good point. Hey. The two didn't like that accusation. By accident, at best. Same result. Sophia and Steph went silent again. Sue, Anna started looking around. Is this place something you can only attain if you have pure overseer magic in you, or are traces of Kinnear's inside of yours enough? I want it, too. It's highly unlikely. Mira scratched her cheek while facing the princess. Everyone, myself included, was outright shocked when we learned that Sophia had unlocked this domain. No one thought it was possible. Especially not that easily and quickly. It's definitely not what she wants to hear, but I highly doubt Steph will be able to have access to her own place anytime soon, either. Having shared half of her magic with Chloe certainly didn't get her closer to it, either. I regret nothing. The violet dog interrupted her. One of the best decisions I made. Ah, too bad. Anna looked a little disappointed. Why is it so different for the sisters, though? I mean, of course, Kinnear is the highest god, overseer. I'm sorry about that. Still, you're Mira. The overseer of magic. You're responsible for the thing we all love. Shouldn't our dog here be able to create a place like this even easier than Sophia? She's asking all the right questions. Steph nodded a couple of times. Answers, please. It might be precisely because of the differences between Kinnear and me. Mira tilted her head because she wasn't entirely sure about it herself. In regard to the planet you all live on now, you could say that I'm rather important. In fact, calling me an overseer is not even entirely correct. I do much more than watch over magic. I control it. Make sure everything around it is working all right. That there are no anomalies. Keeping the balance, and much more. In fact, it would not be wrong to call me the administrator of magic. Overseer has a better ring to it, so let's continue with that, okay? Are all overseers so easygoing? Ari wasn't sure how to feel about the explanation of her title. It's one of the other main prerequisites to becoming one. Oh, no. The jaguar looked at the sisters in shock. Hee hee. Steph smiled at her. Shut up. Sophia did not. Kinnear's different in that regard. He fits the theme of an overseer much better as he mostly watches and only intervenes in case of catastrophes. Mira glances at the blonde towards the end. Why are you looking at me? Because he brought me over to this world, and I am a catastrophe, or because he had to intervene in some catastrophes I caused by accident? Other than that, Kinnear's actually the biggest exception amongst overseers. The teal fox completely ignored her. Normally, we're only in charge of one world, and then we're also grouped into different subjects, like me overseeing and managing magic in the world you all live in, for example. He has many worlds under him. Not only that, but he also oversees those places as a whole and not just a certain part or attribute of those places. Am I the only one who's missing the part where this explains why Sophia can use her extra dimension already while I cannot? Steph got confused over the topic. Patience, my dear puppy. Mira smiled at her. I was getting to that just now. My magic is attuned to the specific magic of the world you live in. It is my magic, after all. Kinnear's magic isn't. It isn't attuned to anything. It's blank. It's compatible with every world in existence and can be used there freely as long as magic exists. I can't do that and only have access to the powers inside me if I'm not in my domain or the usual world. Still confused? It's easier to establish a connection to a different dimension, which could also be described as a different world on a smaller scale, with magic that isn't attuned to a specific place. Kinnear's, and thus Sophia's, magic is just very compatible with stuff like that. It's compatible with pretty much anything, after all. Unfair. Once she understood the reasoning, Steph directly didn't like it. Hee. Sophia was more of a fan, though. In exchange for that, you have a much easier time using magic in the normal world because no one's more compatible with that than you and I are. Mira smiled at her. Weird accidents are much more unlikely to happen for you, too, because magic better understands your intention. Unfair. This time, the shorter tiger got loud. There's no winning with those sisters, is there? Faye had been listening to them until now and just had to ask. No, Maya, Chloe, Ari, Anna, Fen, Aura, and even the girls in question replied simultaneously. As the topic was somewhat exhausted afterward, the group put it on hold for the time being and decided that it was time to explore the cottage Sophia had stolen before. Chapter 005, Skills of a Professional. The group decided to take a break from walking as it had started to get dark and cold, so everyone entered Sophia's domain, where she had also put the cottage she stole from the capital earlier in the day. While they were at it, Mira also gave them a quick explanation of how Overseer and their magic work. In a very abridged way, at least. By the way, did you also borrow the key to the cottage? Maya glanced at the big entrance door of the building they were walking towards after climbing on top of the layer of dirt. Judging by Sophia's reaction, she did not. Do you have any lockpicking skills, Anna? Why me? The orange tiger raised her voice. I thought a princess is being taught in just about everything to show how skilled the royal family is. Lockpicking isn't a part of that. She got even louder. I see. The blonde nodded a few times. What about you, Ari? I'm sure it's an essential skill for every maid and maid-to-be. Why would it be? The black-haired jaguar, whose parents were the head maids in the castle, stared at her with the same expression. It's not. How boring. Sophia looked genuinely disappointed. What about you, then? Ari snapped a little. Why would I know how to pick a lock? She tilted her head while looking at her. I hate you. I thought you loved me? The short tiger smiled at her. Those are two sides of the same coin with you. Maya was the one who answered her. Tigers, huh? You can't love them without hating them. She glanced at Anna during the last part. I hate you. Hey. She immediately got loud. Wait. Hee. The cat girl liked her reaction. Where were we again? It was enough for Ari to have lost track. You were confessing your love to me. Sophia had to use the chance. Right. The jaguar nodded. I mentioned how much I hate you. Exactly. She nodded. The blonde then looked a little confused, especially after Maya's tangent. Anyway. Has anyone else here had some shady side hustle in the past? Fenny? Sophia faced the male wolf. None that involved lockpicking. He shook his head. I mean, he then lifted one of his paws. Fair enough. She could understand his reasoning. Wait, what? His wording had caught her interest. I have other ways to get inside, though. Should I give it a try? How many of those keep the door intact? Sophia had a bad feeling about it. 4. And how many of those keep the rest of the cottage in one piece, as well? Fen went silent. I figured as much. The short tiger shook her head. Mainly because I, too, can think of about 28 ways to get in there. None of them are of the reversible kind, though. I could dig a tunnel. Aura sounded strangely excited when she tried to suggest a plan. I'm good at that. I want to help. Steph, the dog girl, seemed to be a big fan of the idea. Sophia gave it some thought. I mean, we could dig right through the elevated dirt and then hope it maybe comes with a basement we could break into. Let's go. The little sister got really motivated. You all sure are hopeless, huh? Sounding extra playful, Mira smiled at the group before she started walking towards the entrance door. A few moments after arriving there, the lightly audible clicking sound of a door being unlocked could be heard. Open. Eh? Most had the same reaction. Mira was the one with the sketchy past? The blonde sounded surprised. I didn't see that one coming. Here, you dork. Saying so, the teal fox threw a small object toward Sophia. Catching it, she noticed the key she was now holding. Huh? Where did that come from? Did Menzer give you the key when I wasn't paying attention? I made my own key just now. Seriously? The short tiger was impressed. How? A skill you learned during your shady past? Would you stop it with the shady past already? Nothing shady ever happened. Well, Faye joined the conversation. Don't you dare to say whatever you plan to say. Myra's expression suddenly changed, and her cheeks turned a bit red. Oh? Steph, Sophia, and Chloe got quite interested in her reaction. We're all ears. You are not. The many-tailed fox thought otherwise. Anyway, I used magic to open the lock and recreate a key. Magic can do that? The blonde's attention was quite easy to divert. Of course. Details. Sophia, Steph, Chloe, and Anna, too, wanted to know more about it. Well, there's really not much to explain here. Mira smiled at the girls. I simply flooded the insides of the lock with unattributed, raw magic and had it solidify in the shape of a key that matches the coating of the cylinders inside. Magic can do that? Ari was the one with the strongest reaction. Magic can do almost anything if your control over it is good enough. The teal fox smiled at her. But maybe not tell anyone about being able to pick locks with magic. Or that the overseer of magic told you about it. As if anyone would believe me in the first place. The jaguar raised her voice a little. Not to mention that no one in this world, except maybe half of this group, would be able to do this. Everyone in this group could do it with ease after training for about 15 minutes. Myra's smile turned slightly cheeky. Teach me. Sophia, Chloe, Steph, and Anna directly jumped on the opportunity. I thought a princess isn't supposed to have these kinds of skills? Maya looked at her. This and that are different. I see. She didn't feel like playing, after all. Anna looked too happy to be teased by her. By the way, Mira faced Sophia again. I want the lovely corner room on the right on the upstairs floor. How do you know that there's such a room? The blonde tilted her head. And that it's lovely? Magic? Is that your answer to everything? The short tiger stared at her. You're the last one who's allowed to complain about that. Multiple people glared at her. What do you mean? She raised her voice. Obviously, I'm the second to last now. The group went silent. The blonde had a point, after all. You're the best, Mira. Thanks to you, I'm officially no longer the one with the worst common sense. I'm not entirely convinced that this is the message you were supposed to get here. Though, I'm always happy to be of help. The many-tailed fox had some mixed feelings about it, though far from enough to be upset about it. Also, when it comes to the common sense of magic, well, common sense does not always equal the truth behind things. It absolutely does not in this case, in fact. So, having no common sense in that area is a good thing. The overseer of magic approves. I love you. Sophia was a big fan of her assessment. Did you hear that, Maya? Yeah, the cat girl rolled her eyes. Next time we're in a city, I'll have you a t-shirt with the slogan approved by the overseer of magic on it made. She sounded quite sarcastic. I'd love that. I want one, too. Chloe also was a fan of the idea. Shouldn't yours say, made by the overseer of magic? Steph looked at the pink fox girl with a confused expression. She's your mother, after all. That's good, too. Let's head to the next city immediately. Delighted that her daughter would like to wear something like that, said Mother. Mira got really motivated about the idea. It looked like Faye wanted to say something. She seemed a bit twitch for a moment, but she never mentioned anything. Should we get her a made by Faye and Mira, too? The teal fox smiled at the full one. That would be a bit much. Chloe got embarrassed. The other one already was, but this tops it. But. She then raised her voice. Speaking of that, Faye, you still owe me to show me your hybrid form. Mira shows us her full form all the time, but I only saw this you when I grew up. She gestured all over the four-legged fox. You promised to show me. After I got so angry that you hid the fact that Mira is my mother, just as you are. I want to see the Faye that made me. Ugh, the full fox hung her head. I hoped you had forgotten about that. I would never. Fine. I have actually been training with Mira for it lately. As I mentioned before, it's quite difficult for me to do, because I haven't used that form in a long while. I'll show you eventually, unless you forget about it, but I need more time. She really did not sound enthusiastic about the plan in the slightest. That won't happen. Chloe started pouting. Steph. Remind me to remind her about remembering her promise. I'll remember reminding her. The dog girl nodded a few times. Thank you. Those two dorks are really made for each other. Ari had nothing else to add to their exchange. And I dislike this. Faye wasn't a fan. Afterward, the full fox decided that the topic was over for the time being and walked past Mira to enter the now unlocked cottage. Chuckling once, the teal fox then followed after her before everyone else did the same. Chapter 006, The Rules of the Homeowner Are Absolute. After a bit of back and forth, some bickering, and a healthy dose of overpowered magic, the group was finally able to enter the cottage Sophia had stolen in the capital before they left. Naturally, most of them were very interested in how it looked like inside, and they immediately wanted to explore it. All right. Once the whole group was in the entrance hall of the cottage, Sophia lightly clapped her hands while smiling at all of them. First, the biggest, comfiest, and fanciest master bedroom belongs to Maya and me. I approve of this. The cat girl nodded a few times. Other than that, the blonde continued. I don't particularly care what you do with the other rooms. Mira wanted the corner room upstairs, and as long as that isn't the master room, I don't care. If anyone else is also interested in that room, you have to fight our dear overseer of magic for it. Come at me. The teal fox in question made a cheeky hand gesture to everyone surrounding her. No one dared to. Okay. Sophia clapped her hands again to get everyone's attention once more. I'm not exactly sure yet what we're going to do with this place in the long run, but it's definitely a great option to use when the weather to camp outside is no fun. Also, maybe for some, more private reasons. Things we usually don't do as a group, she means. Maya added some details. We figured as much even without your help. Ari rolled her eyes. Also, what do you mean by usually? You know exactly what I mean. The cat girl's expression turned into a smirk. Ari seemingly had nothing more to say. Wait, we never went as far as your stupid smirk is trying to imply. Anyway. The shorter tiger rolled her eyes before continuing. Especially while it's still spring and the evenings get cold, we might use this cottage several times, so make sure to choose a good room. Okay. Everyone reacted with a big nod and immediately wandered off to inspect the rooms. Roughly an hour had passed since the group had started exploring the inside of the building before everyone eventually met up in the place's living room again. There wasn't much going on in terms of decorations. The previous owner likely took those with them when they left, but it still came with two massive sofas, a big table between them, and a sizable and fluffy rug in front of a fireplace. This is not over yet. Anna, Ari, Chloe, and Steph, in that order, were sitting together on one of the sofas when the princess glared at Steph across the two girls in the middle of them. "Try me." Full of smug, the dog girl looked back at her. "Do you think I want to know?" Sophia, sitting between Maya and Mira on the sofa across the four, tilted her head while she glanced at her cat girl. "I definitely do not." She shook her head in response. "Steph stole the room I wanted to have." Anna raised her voice even more. "I beg to differ." Steph disagreed. "Just because you entered it first doesn't mean you get first dibs." "I said I want it first." "It does." "It does not." "Really?" Ignoring the two bickering girls, Sophia looked at Chloe and Ari in the middle of them. "What do you two have to say about this?" "I literally couldn't care less." The pink fox looked ever so slightly tired. "They're the exact same rooms." The jaguar's expression was even worse. "They are not." Even though they were fighting, the duo could still synchronize quite nicely. "Is it, or is it not?" The shorter tiger kept focusing on Ari because she was the best source of non-emotional information there. "It has the exact same layout, just that it is mirrored because it's on the opposite side of the hallway upstairs." "Nothing's different whatsoever." Chloe had the same opinion. "You just said that it's mirrored yourself." "That makes it something else entirely." "Huh," the blonde hung her head. "It's your house, so you have to deal with it." Maya showed her no sympathy. "Why is it my house?" "Because you're the one who stole it." Ah. She did not appreciate being confronted with logic. As much as someone could apply logic to the situation at hand, at least. "Does that mean my words are absolute?" "It depends." "On what?" Sophia faced the cat girl next to her. "Whether I like your words or not." She smiled at her. "Just me, though. The others have no right to go against your decisions regarding the cottage." "Oh, I like that." "I don't." Anna disagreed. "Steph's your sister, so you'll obviously give her preferential treatment." "She would never." The dog girl was deeply offended by this baseless accusation. "Right, I would never." Sophia nodded a few times. "Eh?" Steph's expression changed. It seemed like she had hoped for something else here. "Would you mind if I go for the chaos route here?" The blonde smiled at Maya. "Why would you stop now?" "Good point." After all, it would be alarming for her not to choose the chaos route. "Alright, just to make sure. Anna, Steph, you two want to be in the same room?" "Yes." "Okay, Ari, Chloe, you are okay with the other room?" "Pretty much." They nodded. "Well, I'd say the solution's pretty easy. Sophia's smile turned cheeky. "Anna, Steph, you're going to share the room you're fighting over. I'm sure you'll be able to reconcile after spending the night with each other. Ari, Chloe, you two can have the other room." "Eh?" All four had the same reaction. "What's that F for?" Sophia tilted her head. "That's the most sensible decision here." "I agree." Maya was a big fan of her tiger's idea. "How's that arrangement going to solve anything?" Anna and Steph continued to show great combability when it came to matching up their words. "How's your fighting going to solve anything?" Sophia threw the ball right back at them. "I'll give you 3 options. 1. You decide right now who'll get the room. 2. You two duke it out during the night. 3. No one gets the room, and I'll use it for whatever I want." None of these are viable options. All things considered, the two got along splendidly. "If you disagree with my way of doing things, feel free to steal your own cottage." "That's so unfair." "Chloe, Ari, how do you feel about my suggestion?" Sophia faced the other two. "Your opinions are the ones I actually care about right now." "Hey." Her sister and the princess didn't like that. The pink fox tilted her head before glancing at the black-haired girl. Sounds fun. Well, the jaguar scratched her cheek and eventually smiled at the fox. I would prefer to sleep with Anna for reasons, but sharing a room with Chloe doesn't sound bad at all. Especially because that would mean I won't have to listen to Anna's complaints about the room all night. Alright, sure, I'm in with the idea. Perfect. Not perfect at all. Steph and Anna, once again, did not like this development. Alright, with this topic taken care of, have you two found a nice room, as well? Ignoring the complaining duo once more, the blonde faced the wolves. Yes. Aura answered her. There's a small lounge-like room upstairs filled with many cushions and a big sofa in the middle. It's great. It is quite comfortable. Fun tried to sound unimpressed, but his wagging tail exposed him. That sounds amazing. Steph's tail was wagging even stronger. Don't you dare and try to unrightfully claim that room, too. The female wolf growled at her. Yeah, you have to watch out for that. Anna nodded a couple of times. She likes to do that. Oi. Hee hee. Sophia let out a small chuckle. Happy you two found a comfy place. What about the fox faction? She then looked at Mira next to her. About that. The teal fox clapped her hands. Would it be alright to convert a broom closet upstairs into a room where I put a portal to my domain? Like, instead of entering a room, you open the door and end up in my home at my place. I can't teleport out of your domain on my own, so it would be great to have an easy way to come and go. Don't worry, we can set up the portal so that I can only return here when you allow it and not whenever I please. Oh. A portal closet sounds like a fun idea. The shorter tiger liked the idea. In return, I want some help with decorating my domain, though. I'd say that can be arranged. Mira smiled at her. Is there anything in specific you want? A certain biome? Maybe a nice plain around the cottage or a dense forest behind it. That sounds lovely. Sophia was getting excited. I was thinking about something more elemental, though. Well, she pointed at one of the windows in the living room they were in. I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but I think the bright all-white nothingness is a little hard on the eyes. I want a blue sky. Clouds. Wind. A day and night cycle. Just like it happens in your domain. Quite ambitious, aren't we? Always. Some of those requests are actually a little complicated. The many-tailed fox scratched her cheek. I'll happily show you, but I guess that would need some demonstrations in my domain for you to understand. Let's go. She was very motivated. Right now? To be perfectly honest, I'd first like to eat something. I've gotten a little hungry. That's an even better suggestion. The tiger was always hungry, after all. Food first. Afterward, they focused their attention on acquiring dinner, before eventually returning to the topic of decorating Sophia's domain to make it more hospitable. Chapter 007, A Talkative Overseer. The group had explored the cottage Sophia stole before, and everyone chose a room to stay in for the time being. Yes, there were no issues around it whatsoever. Afterward, Sophia started asking Mira about some essentials to make her domain more hospitable by adding a sky, day and night cycle, and many other things to get rid of the all-white nothingness. Okay. Teach me everything. Are you alright with just the two of us? Mira glanced at the overly excited-looking blonde tiger next to her. Why would I not? Sophia tilted her head. Also, everyone else seemed busy. Steph and Anna were still bickering over the rooms, while Ari tried to act as an intermediary between them. Chloe and Faye wanted to do something, too, and the wolves wanted to take a nap. Maya simply didn't want to deal with whatever would happen if the overseer of magic tried to teach me something. Fair enough. She nodded a few times before looking around in the area. The two were in Myra's place right now, in front of a small house in a little clearing in the middle of a massive jungle. Where do you want to start? The sky. The blonde looked up and pointed at the starry night sky. Here, 2, the sun had long since set. It's all fake. Really? Yup. The many-tailed fox nodded. Created with magic, that is. Obviously, there are no actual stars or planets inside my domain. That makes sense. I would have thought it's somehow linked to the real world, though. No, it's an artificial recreation. In the grand scheme of things, it's basically a drawing painted on the ceiling of my domain using magic. A huge drawing, I guess. It slowly rotates across the ceiling and simulates the day and night cycle with the help of light-based magic. Wow. Sophia sounded quite impressed. How do I do that? I don't think you or your domain are ready for that just yet. What's that supposed to mean? She did not like that reply. It's doubtful your authority is high enough to maintain it. The levels of raw magic inside your domain aren't high enough either. Admittedly, my powers are nothing compared to you, but Kinnear was quite generous, no? I should have enough authority to put a painting on the ceiling of my domain, shouldn't I? This world isn't a planet, but a flat plane of infinite length or dimensions. There's no curvature of the land. It seemed like the blonde wanted to make a comment about something. No, that's too cheap even for me. She decided against it. Wait, what does the flat earther's wet dream have to do with my lacking authority over magic? The painting has to be hundreds of kilometers long in every direction for the illusion to be convincing. If you add the day and night rotation, it has to be many thousands of kilometers. That will need a lot of authority, and it's not even including the movement and the added changes in lighting and temperature. It doesn't quite matter right now, but once you introduce more flora and fauna to your domain, this circle also has to be running when you aren't there to see it. Otherwise, the plants and animals will quickly die off. Wow, I hadn't thought that far. I definitely would love to get a ton of animals and a jungle that would make yours here pale in comparison. I like the levels of motivation. Mira gave her a thumbs up. Still, isn't there a light sky I can use in the meantime? How do I even increase the magic in my domain in the first place? She started looking around. Here, there's so much raw magic that I can see it sparkling everywhere. I love the purple color. Filling your domain with raw magic is fairly easy, but it's quite time-consuming. Especially in your case, as your authority over it, in overseer terms, is quite low. Long story short, you flood your domain with the raw magic inside you and then let your authority reset outside of it. Rinse and repeat. That'll take forever. Sophia didn't like the sound of it. Well, there's a lot of work involved in creating and managing your own domain. The teal fox smiled at her before gesturing around. It's quite rewarding, though. I can see that. She also started looking around again. Is there any way to speed it up a little? The best thing to start would be increasing the flora, I guess. Mira gestured at the jungle around them once more. You've grown a few trees with the use of raw magic before, right? Yeah, it's been quite a while, but the group and I ended up creating a small magical forest thanks to it. It's amazing there. You should do the same in your domain. Plants are amazing at sponging up and distributing elemental magic. Elemental? Sophia tilted her head. Depending on the situation, it's a better description for raw magic. Don't worry about it. Ah, I see. Flora infused with elemental magic also constantly generates more of it while changing and influencing its surroundings. Oh, is that how our few trees turned into a full overgrown forest? Yes. The teal fox nodded. The more flora you grow, the more elemental magic will be generated. If you and your friends expend your authority a couple of times to create some trees each time, it will soon become a decent starting point to shape your domain. As an added benefit, if you supply flora with enough magic, it doesn't require natural light to survive. It will just work fine with your all-white background right now. That's perfect. Sophia's eyes started sparkling before she focused on Mira and showed her a great smile. The amazing overseer of magic is my friend, too, right? Isn't that nice? Very. Haha, you sure are a sly one. She had to give it to her. Well, if I later get to boast that I was of significant importance in starting your legendary domain, I guess I can spare a square kilometer or two of my jungle here. Thank you very much. The blonde was very happy about that. I'll even ignore the other part you just said, because I can't wait to improve my place. That's the spirit. By the way, Sophia started looking around again. What is going on with the raw, or elemental magic around here? She focused on the highly concentrated pink and purple magic particles around her. Why does it seem excited? In a way, it almost looks like it has a rhythm and is dancing around us. They're happy that you want to play with them so much, and in interesting ways, too. Oh. Wait, what? Who are they? The blonde looked confused. Magic, of course, dot. Eh? Huh? Don't tell me magic has an actual consciousness? Mira paused for a moment. I think I shared too much information just now. Please forget about it, dot. No way. She got very excited. Magic, if you understand what I'm saying, do something. That's not how. The teal fox wasn't able to finish her sentence because the pink and purple magic particles became even more active and began swirling around Sophia, almost encasing her in a whirlwind. This is amazing. The tiger held out her arms and hands, and the magical particles immediately flew around them, too. Does that mean they like me? Mira did not answer her. I loved magic since the first time I witnessed it, so if it really can feel and express some sort of emotion, that would be the best thing ever. Her excitement was rising even more. I want to be friends. Can I befriend magic? The teal overseer continued to stay silent, but something or someone else wasn't on her side. Even more purple magic particles came out of the surrounding jungle and also gathered around Sophia. Her entire surroundings had turned pink and sparkly. This is the coolest. Is there a way to talk with them? It's obvious that they understand me, but I want to be able to have an actual conversation with magic. Sophia, Mira eventually looked right at her. I can't tell you that. My playful little reply earlier already led you to discover way too much. Not even Faye, my partner I have a child with, knows that part about magic. It's also not quite as you pictured together, but... No, I'm not giving you even more pointers here. That's no fun. The tiger started pouting. I want to befriend magic. Huh. She sighed while glancing at the pink and purple particles dancing around the blonde. If it is possible, it's for you to find out on your own. Fair enough. Sophia seemed to be okay with that. Challenge accepted. Also, her expression turned serious. Keep this to yourself for the time being. Okay. From everyone in your group included. Eh? The world isn't ready for the implications this possible revelation could have. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, but is it really that much of a big deal? Even Kinnear does not know about this. What? He is aware of the basic concept and how it resolves around authority, as that is how magic works everywhere. This magic goes some extra steps, though. She pointed at the pink particles that were still swirling around the tiger. Even so. Sophia raised her voice. How come he doesn't know something this important? Because I never told him. She shrugged. He doesn't actively use the magic of this world because he doesn't need external influence because of the massive amount of magic inside of him. He has no need to use his authority, which works well for him as that keeps his footprint in this world low. Okay. The blonde wasn't sure she could entirely follow her. My dear friend, the overseer of flora and fauna, knows about this specialty of this world's magic because our fields of expertise are quite interwoven and reliant on each other, but other than her, no one knows about this. It's that much of a secret. Wow. As Sophia needed a moment to wrap her head around what she just learned about magic, the duo decided to take a quick break to reflect on some things. Chapter 008, Starter Set. Sophia and Mira went to the many-tailed overseer's domain so that the tiger could learn how to decorate and improve her own because she was getting tired of the all-white nothingness. She learned much more than she had initially anticipated, though. The teal fox said slightly too much during their chat, revealing that magic is capable of showing feelings, indicating that it might be sentient or conscious. How hard do I have to keep magic being at least 17 times as amazing as I had already thought a secret from everyone else? To your best abilities. Sophia wasn't overly confident in her skills of keeping secrets from others. Just try very, 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 very hard, okay? Alright. I'll try much better than doing my best, then. She nodded a few times. I'll still do further research about it, though. There's just no way I won't befriend magic. I'll just do it when no one else is around. Mira decided against saying anything. I won't keep it a secret forever, though. The blonde lightly shook her head. Everyone else, Chloe and Steph especially, also love magic a whole lot, so it felt wrong to her to never tell her friends about it. Though, that being said, as this seems very important to you and also sounds like a big deal, I'm willing to wait to make my decision of telling them after having learned everything there is. If I agree that it's better to be kept a secret afterward, I will reconsider. Well, yes, I'd act the same in your position. In fact, you might even be more reasonable than I would be in this situation. Wow. Secret or not, I'll definitely tell Maya that you confirmed that I'm more reasonable than the overseer of magic. Ahaha, the teal fox looked a little tired. Sorry about that, Sophia smiled at her. I'm rarely called reasonable, so I have to use every chance to rub it under Maya's nose. Anyway, how about we put the whole topic on hold for the time being? I'm still super excited and want to learn more, but I also want to improve my domain, which is affecting everyone in our group right now, so that takes priority at the moment. Thank you very much. Okay, so. For a proper day and night cycle, and more importantly, my domain, needs to have more elemental magic, right? Magical plants and trees, flora in general, will help with that because they sponge up, distribute, and increase it? Yes, that's more or less it. Mira nodded. Changing to other static colors might be easier, though. Like an all-black alternative for nighttime. That might be a good start. She could get behind that idea. Though some of the girls in our group get scared easily, so being surrounded by all-black nothingness while trying to sleep might be a tough order. Really? That's unexpected. I never would have guessed anyone there be affected by silly things like that. Also, by some, I mean Maya. Huh? That was enough to honestly shock the overseer. Our sassy cat? Scared of the dark? No, not that much, but she's really bad with anything even remotely spooky or scary. She definitely would have been the last where I expected that. You should be on more movie nights with us. Sophia's expression turned sassy. Watching horror movies from my old world on the big TV I brought with me is an absolute delight. It really sounds quite entertaining. Perfect. The next movie night will be horror-themed. The blonde's mood increased by a lot. But don't tell Maya beforehand because she'll run away if she knows. Only if you keep the things you think you learned today a secret, too. I guess that's fair. Sophia nodded. Giving Maya a good scare and the very everything of magic not being what we thought it was, is about equal in importance. Anyway. The tiger dropped the topic once again. More domain stuff, please. I'm still super curious about stuff like the weather or the general climate. How does that work? Most of that will start naturally once you have a working day and night cycle, forests, and lakes for the most part. Wind mainly occurs due to temperature change or differences between land and water masses. Oh, I see. I really should focus on basic landscaping first and then add details, huh? That would be the fastest and easiest way to start, yes. Perfect. By the way, Sophia then looked at the ground. Can you manipulate the ground level of your domain? Yours is all nice and nature-y, but my domain has the polished pure white boringness. If I want to have a nice lake or ocean even, I would first need to get hundreds of meters of dirt, no? Don't worry, you can form it however you want. You can even portion off the space to make multiple different biomes or stuff like that. That's great. Now that I think about it, I reshaped it a couple of times already to create storage rooms. Is there anything else you want to know about our domains? Mira lightly tilted her head. Like a million things, I'd say. Still, I'll ask those questions on the fly when I'm shaping my place. For now, I just want to start. Shall we head back then? Let's go. The blonde sounded very motivated. But I'm still getting a little bit of the jungle here as a starting gift, right? Motivated and selfish. Of course. She nodded. And for every month you keep the other topic a secret, I'll give you another square kilometer from a biome of your choosing. You're good. Sophia was impressed by her bribe. Well, I'm starting to understand how you work. It's not that hard, isn't it? The tiger knew that getting on her good side wasn't hard. Ahaha. She had to chuckle. So, do you want a specific part of the jungle, or is anything fine? Beggars can't be choosers, but if they could, something with a bit of diversity in the plant life would be nice. You are a little shameless, aren't you? A lot, actually. Sophia smiled at her. I do like your confidence. Anyway, shall we get you a nice plot of land? Saying so, Mira let a purple portal appear right next to her. This leads to the edge of the jungle biome and slowly blends into a regular forest. That should be good for a diverse fauna. This humble beggar would be delighted about this arrangement. What part about you is humble? My height? The blonde tilted her head. I'd say, thanks to me playing around with magic, my chest isn't quite in the humble category anymore, but I'm still kinda short. I don't even want to acknowledge that. Fair. She got a little embarrassed over her own reply. Let's go. Sophia immediately stepped through the portal afterward. What a dork. Chuckling a little, the teal fox followed after her. Oh. It's pretty here. The duo arrived at the edge of the jungle, where the trees were becoming slightly less dense, and more different plants and trees starting to blend into each other. The tiger seemed to like it a lot. I'm glad you're a fan. Mira gave her a thumbs up. So, do you want a piece for your domain? Pretty please. She nodded a few times. Thank you very much. No problem. How do we get it to my place, though? With your handy-dandy portals, of course. Right. Okay. Afterward, Mira created a massive portal encompassing the jungle and bits of the lighter forest next to it. It was so big that it wasn't even possible to see how far the portal reached. Once the overseer gave her the signal, Sophia also poured some of her magic into the portal, and a moment later, only a massive crater was left behind. It was hard to guess from their position, but multiple kilometers of flora in every direction had disappeared. Whoa! The blonde's eyes grew wide. Is it really alright for you to give me this much? Absolutely. The teal fox turned smug. In fact, with only that much, everything will have grown back long before the next time I'll be here. Also, the deeper part of this jungle here is especially interesting, and I'm sure you'll like it very much. What a show-off. You and I aren't so different, after all, huh? Shush. Hee. Mira liked her reaction. By the way, aren't you worried that the jungle landed somewhere in your domain where it could do damage? You just accepted it just like that without checking, after all. Nah, it's alright. As you mentioned, I portioned off an unused part of my domain and opened a portal to that isolated place there. Not bad. She seemed impressed. I look forward to your future domain. Me, too. Sophia looked very excited. Alright, let's go and surprise the others. I can't wait to see everyone's dumbfounded expression when I make the jungle appear in front of the cottage. Sounds like a plan, miss. I don't like to be in the center of attention. Mira started chuckling again. I don't enjoy the sass either. Then you maybe should stop acting so teasable 24/7. Without saying a word, Sophia opened another portal and immediately disappeared through it. What a lovable dork. A quick chuckle later, the teal fox followed after her. Chapter 009, New Additions. After the Overseer of Magic had gifted the blonde tiger a sizable chunk of jungle biome for her domain, Sophia and Mira reunited with the others, and she couldn't wait to show everyone the new addition to the place. I don't like that expression. The two entered the cottage, and Maya immediately got a bad feeling when she looked at her girlfriend. Same. Ari had a similar opinion on the matter. So terribly rude. Sophia started pouting. I just had fun with Mira. No, there's more. The cat girl didn't believe her. Yes. The jaguar nodded. You only have this kind of expression when you did something ridiculous. I am not entirely sure if I should be happy that my friends know me so well or upset because I'm so easy to read. Yes. The group had no intention of resolving her confusion. All of you really are the best at being the worst. The blonde let out a short sigh before she started smiling. I'm so proud. So, again, what kind of ridiculous stunt did you pull? Ari had no intention of letting her off the hook so easily. Nothing. She raised her voice. Tell her, Mira. Yes. The teal fox nodded. Everything we did and talked about was perfectly normal overseer stuff. Oh no, it's even worse than I had anticipated. It had the opposite effect on the black-haired girl. Ah. Sophia noticed her mistake. Well, it was regular overseer business, no matter if one party isn't an actual overseer. Still not helping. Anyway, Mira taught me a lot about my domain. Things will become amazing in here really soon. And there's the ridiculous part. The jaguar almost sounded relieved. So, what's today's headache going to be? Maya, please make sure the sassy jaguar goes to bed without dinner tonight. Noted. The cat girl nodded. I'll prepare an extra big helping for her later. Thank you very much. Ari smiled at her. What made you think I'm on your side? Maya then looked at the blonde tiger again. Tell us what you've learned already. Fortunately, Steph, Chloe, and Anna were much more excited about it. We want to see something fun. I knew I could count on my favorite members in the group. Sophia was delighted that those three were on her side. Hey! Maya and Ari didn't like that. No complaints allowed. She lightly glared at the two before pointing at the door leading out of the living room they were in right now. We need some more space for that. Oh, welcome back. Outside the cottage, the group ran into Faye and the wolves, and Aura lazily greeted the blonde tiger. Hey. She waved at her. What were you three up to? We were looking for a nice place to nap in the range of trees behind the cottage. Weren't you already napping in the living room when Mira and I left? So? The female wolf tilted her head. Napping is important. I can't argue with that. Sophia, too, was quite fond of it, after all. And? Any good spots? Not really. She shook her head. The trees are still too small to comfortably lie under, and it's also way too bright outside. Can't you do anything about the eye-searing all-white nothingness? You're in luck. I was just about to present my newest learnings around my domain. Oh. Aura also started to sound excited. Mira, how much space do I need for your gift? The tiger then focused on the overseer. It's about 5 by 5 kilometers. She smiled at her. I added a little extra. Thank you. Let's see. My storage stuff is in a different area, and everything else is here, so. Yeah, let's place it right in front of the cottage. Immediately after, their entire surroundings started to sparkle in the same pink and purple colors as her portals. That was all the group could see for a little while, as nothing else other than the magic was in their field of vision. The area had changed considerably once the particles finally started to subside again. Wow! Everyone besides Mira and Faye had the same reaction while staring at the massive forest that was slowly changing into a full jungle in the back that had appeared out of nowhere. Good work, my dear. The teal fox gave her a thumbs up. Thanks. Sophia smiled at her. Though, something feels odd about that forest. Is it being filled to the brim with raw magic on purpose? She pointed at the forest while looking at Mira. Though not nearly as dense as her portal magic, every empty space between the trees in the forest and jungle was sparkling in a similar purple color. She did not reply. Judging by her impression, it was not on purpose, though. Ah. The blonde's expression turned even happier. At the same time, a swirl of magic came out of the woods and circled around Sophia a couple of times before returning to where it came from. Ehe. She liked that. What's this about? Steph and Chloe immediately got curious about the event. I tried to see if I could control the magic that came with the flora from Myra's domain. She went with the first excuse she came up with. It's looking good. Nice. The two bought it. Nice one. Aura sounded rather impressed and was already walking closer towards the forest. I'm sure there will be many great places to nap in there. This really is quite something. Fen was next to the female wolf while he also took everything in. Aren't you spoiling her a little too much? Faye didn't sound quite as impressed and looked at the teal fox instead. Haha, Mira had nothing to say in her defense. It was 50% spoiling and 50% bribe, after all. I am so freaking jealous. Steph was staring at their new surroundings with wide open eyes. So unfair. I want to be able to do that, too. Yes. Anna and Chloe felt the exact same. Ehe. Maya and Ari weren't quite sure how to react or what to say. They, too, did look quite impressed, though. Overdid it again a little? Sophia looked at them with a wry smile. Well, obviously. Maya nodded a few times. But, she then glanced at the forest and jungle in front of her again. It is quite cool. The jaguar finished her sentence. Very cool, actually. Huh? Sophia raised her voice. Approved by Maya and Ari? Don't act that surprised. The two didn't like her reaction. It's the most amazing thing that has happened in months. It definitely was a big deal for the blonde. I didn't know that was even possible. Steph had a similar opinion as her sister on the matter. I think that's even the first time this ever happened. Anna, too, seemed surprised about it. The duo exchanged some worried glances, seemingly upset over their alleged standing inside the group. Alright, what do we have to do to stop being the party poopers here? They really took it personally this time. Come on, it's not like that. Sophia smiled at the duo. Also, what would happen if you two joined our side, as well? Poor Faye here would have to do overtime to keep all of us in check. Don't care. The cat and the jaguar were properly grumpy. Don't worry, the full fox joined the conversation. I wouldn't care. Even if those two let completely loose, it would make things only a little worse when put in relation to you, Steph, and Chloe. She glanced at the three troublemakers in question. Ah. So, what can we do to shut you up? The blonde was a little confused over why they were so upset. Well, it sounds like it could be fun. Also, yay for chaos? After all, she didn't mind it. Mira told me how to grow my domain and make it more like hers. How about you two let loose first and be the kickstart this place needs to become ridiculous? What do we need to do? The duo seemed interested. Do you remember the magical forest we created in the Fox Village last year? By feeding tree saplings a lot of raw magic and letting it grow beyond reasonable size. Yeah. Maya nodded. What about it? I have to increase the density of magic inside my domain for it to become truly great in here. I'm already starting to feel a difference caused by Myra's jungle, but it needs to be more. Much more. Flora, grown with the help of magic, apparently gains the ability to distribute and even generate additional magic. The more boosted trees and stuff around, the faster and better my domain can grow. Ari looked at her. Basically, you want us to create massive magical trees to make your playground here even more ridiculous? Pretty much. She smiled at her. So selfish. You should know me by now. By the way, Mira faced Sophia and the upset duo. The part of the jungle here is still rather young and is filled with saplings that can't wait to grow tall and healthy. After hearing this, Maya and Ari immediately started walking toward the jungle. While Sophia was still a little confused, she quickly followed after them while the rest of the group did the same. Chapter 010, Don't Upset the Serious Ones. Ari and Maya got quite upset over the fact of being labeled as the party poopers of the group by everyone, and they wanted to change that. After learning that Sophia needs massive trees grown with the help of magic to further develop her domain, they entered the jungle Mira had given the tiger from her own place to do just that. Oh, it's amazing in here. The group had ventured a little deeper inside the small jungle to find a fitting place to play around, and Sophia was taking in the sights with big eyes. I love it already. Jungles are great. Anna's opinion on the matter was the same while she, too, was looking at the overgrown undergrowth they were walking through with great interest. It is indeed a very fascinating place. Ari enjoyed it, as well. The thickly grown plants, the tall trees, the humidity and warmth, and the dark lighting that barely makes it through the canopies. Very nice and calming. Yes. The two tigers vigorously nodded a couple of times. Big cats sure like their jungles, huh? Steph lightly rolled her eyes. Personally, I think it's too hot and humid. The part husky wasn't a fan. Same. Chloe, the part Arctic fox, felt the same. I think I have to agree with my fellow canine. Yes. Fan and Aura, the wolves with a lot of fur, sided with them. It is quite nice, and I do prefer the warmth over being cold, but the humidity kills it for me. Maya, who was closer to a regular cat, tilted her head. I think it's an alright place. She was more neutral about it. It might not be my favorite area, but it's definitely great. How dividing the topic of a jungle can be, huh? Mira enjoyed their exchange and smiled at Faye next to her. Also, everyone always has to whine about something. The foal slowly shook her head. True. She agreed. The rest of the group went silent. No one could defend themselves. All of them liked to complain about all kinds of things, after all. They explored the area for a few more minutes, before eventually arriving at a small clearing in the middle of the jungle. It was brightly lit from the all-white of Sophia's domain, as there were no high-grown trees above them to block it. Only a few saplings were spaced over the ground between many bushes and ferns. Doesn't that seem like a lovely place to experiment? Mira was looking forward to seeing how this would turn out. Will any of what we do inside Sophia's place here affect the outside world? Ari looked at the overseer. Impossible. She shook her head. They are completely separated from each other. Good. Yeah, Maya nodded. I don't care if Sophia's domain gets destroyed, but it affecting the other place would be regrettable. Hey! The blonde seemed to have a different opinion on the matter. Don't worry, the teal fox then smiled at her. Not even I have the power to destroy a domain. That's very reassuring to hear. What if we try really hard? The voices of Ari and Maya lined up. Hey! Sophia got even louder. Do you want to go first? Maya ignored her tiger and focused on the jaguar. I'm sure you'll do just fine, but I do have quite a bit more magic at my disposal, so I don't want to steal the show. Fair enough. Ari nodded. I am a good bit weaker than you. She wasn't upset about it. Oh, how about we try and combine our powers to create one massive jungle tree? Oh. The cat girl seemed to like the idea. No. Fan and Sophia did not, though. Judging by how much they raised their voices, this seemed to be the last they wanted to happen. Absolutely not. The blonde looked incredibly serious when she stared at the duo. Fan and I almost died when we tried that last year. Without Kinnear's help, the continent would have been gone, too. You should know that, Maya. Remember how much you yelled at me afterward? Alright, the cat girl looked quite awkward. It's good to worry about that, but the circumstances here are different. Mira smiled at them. The catastrophe Fan and you caused happened because your combined power levels are beyond of what the framework of magic can handle. The concentration had gotten too high, and it collapsed. Even when combined and boosted, Maya and Ari will not be able to reach this critical level. That is reassuring, Sophia calmed down a little. You will still severely injure your neck by trying to find out how tall of a tree the two created together. It will be massive. Can you guarantee that no one will get hurt if they go all out? As long as everyone takes enough distance from the sapling or soon-to-be tree, sure. This magic is all about creating life in one way or another. Endangering it is not a valid operation. Especially not when the used power is limited. I see. The blonde still didn't seem entirely convinced. Well, if the overseer of magic says so. Just be aware that I'll get angry if anyone gets hurt, okay? Sure. Mira looked slightly intimidated. I'm not a fan of how unhinged she is, but I do like her overall personality and ability to get angry for the ones dear to her. Faye was impressed by her dedication. Even if I'm the opponent? The teal fox started pouting while she looked at the full one. Especially when it's you. Ugh. Once Mira had been thoroughly intimidated by Faye and Sophia, the group focused on the previous topic again. So, can we do it now or not? Maya wasn't exactly sure what the final verdict was. Mira said it's fine, Sue, the blonde slowly nodded. Just immediately stop if anything feels even the slightest bit odd. Ari slowly raised her hand. You acting so worried and sensitive is pretty odd. Outright weird even. She has a point. The cat girl felt the same. Shush. She glared at the duo. This is not the time for sass. It's always time for that. They disagreed with her. Sophia let out a sigh before facing the pink fox. Chloe, how would you feel about a change to our sleeping arrangements for the night? She tilted her head in response. Originally, I wanted to have these two idiots sleep together so they could deal with their room disagreement. She pointed at Steph and Anna. Somehow, I suddenly don't want to deal with these two idiots anymore, either. The blonde then gestured at Maya and Ari. I see. Chloe seemed to have understood her. You want to ditch Maya for me because she's too much of a pain? Pretty much. Hey. The pain in question didn't like the wording. Well, I don't really mind. The pink fox ignored her and smiled at the blonde. I mean, I was kinda looking forward to spending some time with Ari because we haven't done much of that yet, but I'm sure we can do that another time, too. Alright. Sophia raised her hand. It's decided, then. Today's sleeping arrangement will be the two fighting idiots, the two sassy idiots, and us two reasonable non-idiots. No, everyone except Chloe shook their head. That's not how anyone would describe either of you. We are deeply offended by this. The blonde tiger and the pink fox started pouting in return. It's completely uncalled for. Let's finally start. After all this back and forth, Maya had gotten quite impatient while she looked at Ari next to her. Yes. She nodded. Also, I hope it destroys something. That would be amazing. Both lightly glared in Sophia's reaction. By the way, the blonde ignored them and looked at Chloe. I just decided that the two of us will sleep in the master room with the super comfy bed. It's my cottage, after all. Oh. She liked the sound of that. Mira, how do we make the most impressive tree possible? Maya, sounding a little upset, faced the teal overseer. Preferably something that does actual damage to the domain. I'm staying out of this. She had no intention of taking sides here. The overseer is a wise one, after all. Faye praised her for her decision. Whatever. The cat girl had hoped for something better. Ari, hand. Even though she said it like that, Maya immediately reached for it and grabbed the jaguar's hand. Hey. Anna did not like that. Shush. There's no time for your jealousy right now, princess. Maya then smiled at Ari. Do you want to take the lead, or should I? As I have no idea what the plan is, and your control over magic is better, please be my guest. Fair enough. The cat girl could see the logic. I mean, though on a smaller scale, I did it before already, so let's go. She lifted the arm she used to hold hands with Ari. You know how to release your magic without actually using it for something, right? That's basically all we have to do. Bathing a sapling in raw magic, that is. Yeah, she nodded. I learned how to do that a little while back. Perfect. Happy with her answer, Maya started walking towards one of the saplings in the middle of the clearing the group was in while dragging Ari with her. Roughly half an hour had passed, and Sophia wasn't sure how to react when she saw the product of the duo's combined magical powers. Chloe had the same reaction while she was straining her neck to see how tall the tree Ari and Maya had created together really was. Unfortunately, this proved near impossible as it had turned completely dark after the massive tree had grown. The small clearing was no more, either. It had been replaced by the trunk of an enormous kapok tree with a 200 to 300 meter diameter. Judging by this unbelievable size alone, one could only guess the tree's height, which surely had to be at least 10 or 20 times as tall as it was wide. Steph, Anna, Fan, and Aura, too, weren't able to say much else. Everyone was a little flabbergasted. Hee. Ari and Maya seemed quite proud of themselves. Also comes animated.